Welcome everyone to another one of our live sessions. For those that are just tuning in now, what we do on a Wednesday at 11:30 is an informal video on ways that might help us to get through the challenging times that we're going through at the moment. Like a lot of us, I'm working from home, so I'm just using my phone here. Just an informal video to perhaps give you some tools and some hints and tips to get through this. If you haven't, first time you've been here, there are on the website and various mediums where you can go back and look at previous weeks. So this week I thought we'd talk about the gratitude exercises and what they are. So I've recently heard on the radio, and it's a good thing to do, is this write down 5 things that you should be grateful for, and that's how we get through what we're doing. And gratitude exercises, a number of them, and it is a good way of doing that. I got contacted, however, yesterday by somebody who said they can't find 5 things in their life that they're grateful for, and they're repeating the same exercise every day. And it's quite a challenge for this person. So I said, well, there's other ways of doing it. So we've given her these other tips and tricks and different variations of it, which she's going to find helpful. I know she will. And so what works for me doesn't work for you, might work for somebody else. And so we're going to go through a number of other ways other than writing down 5 things that you're grateful for each day. The reason why we say each day, or you can do it on a weekly basis, that's fine, but it's about trying to refresh. And I've done a bit of work around this now for my book, and around how our brain changes, and it is around patterns of behavior. So we do have to get into a pattern as much as possible. And so doing something daily is the best way to do that. So if you want to, do write down 5 things a day that you're grateful for. For me, I don't. And the other thing I want to talk about is writing. Writing is important because when we write things down, it puts it into our subconscious mind. So the 3 minds we have, the unconscious, the subconscious, or some people call it pre-conscious, and then our conscious, which is, hopefully you're watching this and you're in your conscious mind. So you're sitting there listening to me talk, and I won't waffle for too long, otherwise we wander off into the background. So writing things down, it embeds it, and our subconscious works the whole time, 24 hours a day. It comes to the fore overnight. So write things down. It doesn't say, and your goals, when you write down goals, there's some great research around. So we are likely to achieve more goals if we write them, because it does put that in the subconscious. We've been writing on things forever. So we're going to write down. Now, what are some variations? Well, the one that I like with the grateful exercise is to write down one good thing that made me happy. One good thing that I got a laugh out of. One thing that made me smile. One thing I did for somebody else is another option. And you just write that down at the end of your day when you're reflecting. It's a great way of shutting off your brain. So when you're reflecting on your day, what's one thing that made you smile? And write it down, right? I call it the happiness diary, the happy diary. There was a time that we used to write down the bad thing that's happened across our day and how to avoid them. Now, some of the science that's coming out around it and the research is saying that we shouldn't do that. And positive psychology, which is what I'm working on at the moment, a diploma in positive psychology and well-being, shows us that if we start to record negative things, all we're doing is adding to our negativity bias that we've got. So I like to work on the positive things. So write down one thing a day that made you laugh or smile, or that you did for somebody else, right? And so if we start writing down that one thing that made us smile or made us happy, the next day and the next day and the next day, what happens is we start to look for things in our day that are good for us. And that's what I prefer that one more than any others. And also when we're writing down the same stuff, it becomes quite repetitive. So that's the first one. Write down one thing today that made you happy, made you smile, made your day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And after a period of time, we start looking for it. And if you're having a bad day, you can go back to that diary and start at the top and work your way back down again and have a look at what made you happy that day and what made you happy. And so just reflecting back, we should only look back to, as we've talked about previously, look back to good things that happened in our life, or to see how far we've come. So that's the happiness diary, I call it. Children can do the same. For them, you might want to get them to write down one good thing that they did, one thing that made them happy, one thing they did for somebody else. Is another great way for young kids, because young kids are more empathic, and that's why we're finding that anxiety is coming out in a lot more. So that's the happiness diary. The other one is journaling. Now, journaling there's a whole, it's 12, 15 different ways of journaling. Again, it's keeping a diary, it's keeping a notebook, a journal, whatever you want to call it. And if you are struggling with things at work or struggling to embed a new pattern of behaviour, a new habit, write down, and it's a great way of closing off the day, write down what you did in your day that worked, that you did well. And then write down, if you might have a list of them, and the very last thing is you write down is what might you do differently tomorrow to improve that day. Then when you start your day, you read that last one. What can I do to make my day better? And that starts you in the right mind. At the end of the day, you can reflect back. It's called a debrief, really, isn't it? I mean, I use simple words. We're doing this debrief at the end of the day. So what are the things that I did well at my work or across my day? What was the habit that I want to change that worked? And what might I, not what you didn't achieve, not what you didn't do, not the bad things, but what might you change to improve that? So that's another way of journaling. If you want to improve your strengths, write down the 3 strengths that you want to improve, or just one strength is enough that you want to improve, and then think about that across your day, and come to the end of the day, write down how you use that strength. Do you see what we're doing here? We're reinforcing the positives the whole time. Another way of journaling, write down what you did for somebody else, how you helped somebody else. How did they feel? How did you feel? And just recording the emotions and that. So that's journaling. That's another way. So we've got the positive diary, journaling. And the last one I want to talk about, which I found helpful once, is to write. You don't actually have to do anything with it, but just write it out. It's called the gratitude letter. And what a gratitude letter is, you write down how somebody helped you, what it meant to you, what they meant to you, and I guess you can either post it or not. So you're going to write down who's the name of the person, what they did. If you write them an actual formal letter, and I've just seen a person's come up and it said, what if you are a person who hates writing? Don't do it. What you can do is you can video it. Video works just as powerful, just like you're watching now. So, and we know that videos are really, really powerful because I studied radicalization, how people could become so mad and angry to want to kill people. And when I studied it, you had to have human-to-human contact, and writing was a big part of that as well. Now we can watch videos to become fully radicalized. So if you don't like writing, can I suggest that you record a video, a short video, and then watch the video yourself? That's probably the only other way. Or you can just run it through in your mind. But I go back to that writing. It's important to do writing for most of us because it embeds it in our subconscious brain. So doing a video would be a way of doing it. That's probably the only other way. Or talking with others. Maybe that would help as well. So rather than write down the good things that you did, how about that? Because socialization is really important. You sit with somebody else and say, this is what I did to help somebody today. This is what's important in my day. This is what I did, and this is how I felt. So that's probably the other way of doing it. You're welcome. So going back to the gratitude letter, you do it like a formal letter. So you're going to write down exactly what it is that somebody did for you. And in your past, there might be a teacher in your past. There might be somebody who got you through a tough time. And so you write a letter to them, dear such and such, and all the things they did. Because people don't know. Yeah, give them a call. That's the other one. Phone them. The thing about this though, the thing about what we're talking about here is the gratitude exercise is not so much about that. It's about embedding it and changing our thought processes. And we know through the science that when we write things down, it embeds it in our brain. We've been writing on walls for thousands of years, right? Not us, but we've been writing on cave walls. We've been writing on pots. We've been writing, tablets and all that sort of stuff, quills so we've always been writing on something. And so our brains improve better when we do writing, and that's what this letter is about. You don't have to post it, but I suggest you do, or even better still, go and hand deliver it. So that's most of in fact, all of the gratitude exercises we've talked about, for the majority of them are writing. But yes, call a person if you want to, do the video stuff or chat with others. So I hope that's been helpful. Other ways of dealing with it, go back and look at some other exercise that we did, some of the other videos. There's lots there to choose from. Do reach out if you need help. We're here for you. I'm getting more and more emails through. Happy to do them by emails. Phone me if you need to, but emails are actually a lot easier for me to manage anyway. So reach out if you need help. We're here for you. This is something that we do just as part of paying back for thanking the world for looking after us and our business. Take care. Look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.